Hi guys, and welcome back to another championship video, and in fact it's the last championship prediction video of the season. We're on round 46 and a lot has been decided. Before we get into the video, make sure to like the video. I'm going to set a like goal of 15 likes again, so if we can smash that, that'd be great. And subscribe. The channel's still growing, so keep pressing that subscribe button if you're new, and you'll be up to date with all the latest things around my football channel. Now, in the week there was such an important fixture, Bournemouth versus Nottingham Forest. Bournemouth won it in the end, 1-0, which means they're now promoted, so congratulations to Bournemouth. Forest will have to settle for playoffs, but if that had been a draw or a Forest win, this last day would be so much more interesting. However, with relegation zone already sorted, automatic promotion sorted, there's just a few playoff spaces up for grabs, so that's going to be the main thing for this video. But let's get into my predictions. And starting off with Bournemouth taking on Millwall. Now, as we said, Bournemouth promoted. Congratulations to them. They beat Forest 1-0 to secure their place back in the Premier League after spending 2 seasons down in the Championship. So, how are they going to cope next season? How do you think they'll get on? Let me know down below. But this isn't too important for them now, and I think that they're going to take it quite easy. They're going to have been celebrating a lot. So yeah, I think Bournemouth are going to put their foot on the brake a bit here. Millwall, unbeaten in 5, won their last one 3-0 against Peterborough. They're 3 points off the playoffs, and they do have better goal difference than Luton in 6th. So it's quite interesting because Millwall, they drew against Blues a few weeks back, and that was a game I expected Millwall to win. I think they all expected it. I think all the Blues fans expected it as well. And Blues ended up holding them to a draw. Now, if they'd had them 2 extra points, I think they'd have quite a good chance of the playoffs, but they do need Luton to lose and them to win themselves, or Sheffield United to lose and them to win themselves by, whatever goal swing it is, because Sheffield United have better goal difference. So it's going to be tough for Millwall, and it's out of their hands. They're needing other results to go their way as well. However, I think they'll get the job done here because, as I said, Bournemouth might be a bit more relaxed. So I think Millwall are going to go for it and win 2-1. Blues take on Blackburn next. And Blues are very lucky because we've said it a lot, but if it wasn't for those point deductions heading into the last game, we'd be level with Reading, and we'd just sort of have to get a better result than them, which would be a bit of an issue because we haven't been in great form at all. And this probably would have been the season that we went down. So we've been very lucky with those deductions. Well, mainly the Derby one. That's been the only one that's really mattered for us. But that's sort of saved our position in the Championship. But both these teams, I am 90% sure, won't have the same manager in charge next season. Lee Bowyer, there's a lot of talk around the club that after the final game, he's going to be sacked. Not sure who they're planning on bringing in, but it's just an endless cycle, isn't it? Until the owners go, we're just going to be stuck in this cycle. But it'll be nice that a manager has actually seen out an entire season at Blues. So we'll take it. And to me, he hasn't done the greatest of jobs, Bowyer, but he's kept us up, which is all we've had to do every other season. So yeah, and we haven't been in a battle at all, really. So if anything, he's done better than a few other managers, but he's going to be going. So that's a shame for him. Everyone wanted it to work out, but it just hasn't. It hasn't been that way. Blackburn are out of the playoff race. They lost 3-0 to Bournemouth, so they're now on the beach as well. Blues were guaranteed to finish 20th. So disappointed with that, but I guess we go again next season. For this one, I just think it's gonna. I think it's just gonna be a pretty scrappy game. Both teams don't really want to defend, trying to score. So I'm going to go for something, a bit exciting. It's the last time we're going to see Blues in this home kit. It's our last home game of the season. Let's give the fans something to be happy about, at least from a visual perspective, because I don't think we're going to get a win. But I'm going to go 2-2. Derby take on Cardiff now. And sadly for Derby, they're relegated. They knew that a few weeks ago. But I guess they're hoping to finish top of the relegation zone in 22nd, because after a 21-point deduction, overcoming two teams is a pretty good feat in itself. And if they were to survive, that would just have been a ridiculous season. I think Rooney's still done a good job, because if you look at where they would have finished, it would have been clear of safety without that deduction. And I think, it's been difficult for them with having barely any players at the start of the season, having to bring some young players through, free transfers, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, Derby, it's been a tough season. It was expected for them to go down. But if they finish above two other people, then fair play to them. They're playing a Cardiff side that lost 4 in a row and then drew 1-1 with Blues. I think Derby are going to give their fans something to be happy about. Last day of the season, at home, I think they're going to win it 1-0. Huddersfield take on Bristol City next. And Huddersfield, unbeaten in 6, winning 3 in a row. Bristol City, unbeaten in 5, winning 2 in a row. And their last one was 5-0 against Hull. So I see goals. Bristol City have been a team that have been full of goals scored, but also conceded a lot. So a lot of their games have had a lot of goals. Huddersfield are very good going forward, and they can't get the automatics now, even though they had a very, very slim chance. They're just hoping they can finish, in whatever position suits them for the playoffs, really. Luton currently in 6th, Huddersfield in 4th, all that stuff. But if they want 3rd, they need to get a better result than Forest and the goal difference as well. So I don't think Huddersfield are concerned about that. I'm going to go for goals, and I'm going to go 2-2. Hull take on Forest next. And Hull, they lost 5-0 against Bristol City, and in their last 8, they've won 4, lost 4. So they are very, very hit and miss, very inconsistent. Nottingham Forest, I feel ashamed for them, to be honest, because they'd won 9 out of 10 before losing 1-0 to Bournemouth, and even a draw in that one would have still left it open. And playing against a Hull side that are very out of form, I think Forest would have fancied their chances, although they would have needed Millwall to also beat Bournemouth. Now Forest, they've sort of fallen at the final hurdle, but they're still in great form, still going to more than likely finish 3rd, and they are definitely going to be the favourites in the playoffs, because the way they've performed recently, it's just better than any of the other teams in there. So for this one, I think Forest win comfortably, 3-0. Luton take on Reading now. And Luton, they really looked in control of a playoff spot. They only really needed another, point or two. But their last game, they lost 7-0 to Fulham. And it's put them in a very difficult situation now, as their goal difference has taken a massive hit. So they really, really need to win this one. They're up against a Reading side that have lost 2 in a row, lost their last one 1-0 to West Brom, and they're safe, so nothing to play for, which makes me think Luton are going to throw everything at this. They're at home, so I think Luton will survive this scare, but they would hate to fall at the final hurdle and lose that playoff spot after such a great, overachieving season. But I think it's all going to be fine for them. Luton to win 2-1. Peterborough take on Blackpool next. And Peterborough, they've lost 2 in a row. They're relegated, which they knew, a few weeks ago. So there's not much to play for here other than pride. They're at home, which they've been better at all season. Blackpool, they will be very, very happy with their season. These two came up last season. Blackpool through the playoffs. And Blackpool have had a great first season in the Championship. And they'll just hope that they can push on next season and finish this season with a win. But I think Peterborough are going to go out, picking up a final point in the Championship. And yeah, they'll just go again next season and hope they can get back here. For this, I'm going to go 1-1. Preston take on Middlesbrough next. And Preston, they won 3-1 against Barnsley after 2 losses in a row. Middlesbrough, they've won 2 in a row and they're now 2 points off the playoffs. This is going to be interesting. Middlesbrough have got the best chance of breaking in, but they obviously need to win, and they need, if Luton lose or draw, Middlesbrough will be going in. If Sheffield United lose and Middlesbrough win, Middlesbrough go in, but I'd imagine if Middlesbrough win and Sheffield United draw, it won't be enough. So Middlesbrough, they've still got a very good chance because Sheffield United have got a very tough game in Fulham. But, again, it's out of their control. They've just got to do the job in front of them. And I think they'll do it quite comfortably. Middlesbrough to win 3-1. And this one, to me, is the big one. Sheffield United take on Fulham. Now, Sheffield United, they're unbeaten in 3, winning 2 in a row. And, they're in the playoffs, in 5th, but Middlesbrough 2 points behind them, Millwall 3 points behind them, and Luton on the same points in 6th. So it's tight for them, and they have a very, very tough fixture here. Fulham, they've now won the league after a 7-0 win against Luton. Very impressive. But, you'd say they've got nothing to play for. They are now the champions. However, Mitrovic, he still sort of has something to play for, because although he has now broken the Championship goal scoring record, 43 goals this season he's scored, he's just going to want to get that number as high as possible to, give it the best chance of not being broken. So I fancy him to get a couple of goals here, It would be insane if he got a hat-trick on the last day to make it 46 in 46, but you can't do that to the Sheffield United side. I think it's going to be a very tight game, but I think Fulham are really going to go for this and try and get Mitrovic as many goals as possible. And I think they can do it for some reason. Fulham are just a ridiculous side this season, and Sheffield United, they can be a bit hit and miss. They've came into a bit more form now, but a few weeks back, they were getting a few losses in there. So I'm going to go, Sheffield United are going to hate me if they miss out on playoffs, and, if this ends up being right, but I'm going to go Fulham to win 3-1. Stoke take on Coventry next, and Stoke, they lost to Middlesbrough 3-1 after 2 wins in a row. Coventry, they haven't won in 3, and they've only won 2 out of their last 9, which puts them at risk of finishing in the bottom half this season. And after such a good start, they'd be very disappointed not to get a top half finish. Now, I know Stoke had a lot of expectation on them at the start of the season to, break that curse of finishing just below mid-table, but, top half of the bottom half, but they could end up doing it again. They might break into the top half with a win here, but it's going to be a difficult one because both these teams have been very good for periods of this season, but then very bad for other periods where they really struggle to pick up points. And I just see this one down the middle, 1-1. Swansea take on QPR now. And Swansea were unbeaten in 9. They did draw the last 4 of those, but then lost 5-1 to Nottingham Forest. They were absolutely blown away. Now QPR, they've lost 7 out of their last 9. They lost 3-1 against Sheffield United last, and they'll be so disappointed with the way this season's gone, because for such a long part of this season, they looked like they were going to get the top 6. They looked like they'd maybe challenge Bournemouth for second, but they just dropped off a cliff and they never really recovered it. Well, they just didn't. But for this one, I just see that continuing, and I think Swansea are going to win. So Swansea to win 2-1. And finally, West Brom take on Barnsley. Now, West Brom won their last game 1-0 against Reading, but will be so disappointed with this season, as there's a chance that they're going to finish in the bottom half. It'll take a lot because I think they'd need to lose this one, but, to not finish in the playoffs with this squad is very poor, but they were sort of expected to challenge for automatic promotion, so this has been a season that West Brom will want to put behind them. And speaking of disappointing seasons, Barnsley, they haven't won in 8, lost 4 in a row, guaranteed to finish 24th. So Derby have definitely finished ahead of them. And, that's a Derby side that didn't really have a squad at the start of the season and have had a minus 21 point deduction. So Barnsley, I just feel most sad for their fans because after such a good season last season, then in the summer, Ishmael goes, Moet goes, Daryl DK goes as well. They were their manager and 2 of their best players last season never really replaced them. Brought in a manager that didn't really have much experience and it just really backfired. They've had a very, very bad season, but they'll hope to bounce back soon because, just for the fans really, to have such a good season last season, finishing in playoffs, and now bottom of the league. I feel bad for them, but I mean, their poor season is probably one of the only reasons why Blues aren't in the relegation zone. So, Barnsley, feel sad for them. West Brom had a very disappointing season. I think that sort of speaks for itself. And I'm just going to go for something that really epitomises that sort of thing. 0-0. So, those are my predictions for these championship fixtures. It's the last round. Let me know what you think below. Who's going to get those playoff spots up for grabs? That's the main talking point. And hopefully you've enjoyed this season and, you've enjoyed me giving these predictions. And obviously next season, this will carry on. But for the summer, there will be some championship content. So I've got to figure out what I'm going to base it around. The next championship video will more than likely be a review of my predictions at the start of the season. Which, just thinking of some of the things I said, I've had a terrible season. But, I might look back at it and have quite a few things right, which would be great for me. But, make sure to like this video. Hit those 15 likes for that like goal for the last championship prediction video of this season. And hit subscribe if you're new. Let's try and get to 120 subscribers. I think we're on 112 as of recording. So if we could have a big spike here, that would be great. I'd really appreciate it. And for the last time this season, the last time in this kit, up the Blues.